morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS. What day is it, guys?
Friday.
Woo.
Friday.
Together now.
1, 2, 3.
It's Friday, November 19th. So glad you could join us here. Our conductor, Christian Morgan, is keeping us all in line and in tune.
Yeah.
I'm Tracy
I don't know
McCain.
about in tune.
Oh, yeah, I know, it's hard. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Milleris, and again, our conductor / meteorologist, Christian Morgan.
Yeah, our meteorologist who has had a very busy morning tracking something pretty phenomenal in the skies. If you were up early, you really got a treat at that lunar eclipse, Christian.
I'll tell you what, it was really something to see, and actually the longest lunar eclipse in 6 centuries, so a little over 600 years, right? Technically, if you break it down, it was the longest and the best one that we've had in that amount of time. So really something cool to see this morning if you were up super late last night, or if you got up really, really early this morning to see that. It was well worth those hours of sleep that you lost. Take a look at this picture. It comes to us from Lee Capps over in Burlington. He caught this picture at about 4 o'clock when it was peaking, and that's when it had that reddish tint to it, or when it was the brightest. Now, we call this a partial lunar eclipse because notice, not the entire moon is covered. There's just a little sliver of it that's still shining white. It's about 97% covered. But really something to see in the sky if you were up early this morning. Meanwhile, the other big story is that winter chill that we have settling back in. We're at about 40 degrees cooler right now than we were yesterday afternoon. Low 70s, we dropped down into the mid 30s this morning. So that cold front wasn't playing, means business. Now take a look at where that front is now. Still hasn't really made it across the coastal regions of the Carolinas. So they're still in the 40s and upper 50s along the coast this morning. We have 30s in the Piedmont. And as you look elsewhere across the rest of the entire country, pretty much everybody is getting in on some real deal winter chill today. And that'll carry over as we go into the weekend. So the front now to our east, high pressure is in control of our weather. That'll keep us dry. It'll keep the sunshine with us for the weekend. The other thing it's doing is bringing in that cooler air from the north. This is strong high pressure. That was a strong cold front. So those two big contrasts are what drive wind. So yesterday was windy. Expect today to be windy as well as we go into the midday and into the afternoon. High pressure will remain in control of our weather over the course of the weekend. But as we kick off Thanksgiving week, we'll have another system to move by. That'll be the cold front that you see out to the west. That'll bring us some rain on Monday and brings us an even chillier day on Tuesday. Although I expect us to get back to some comfortable temperatures for Thanksgiving Day. Meanwhile, today is all sunshine all the time. It's about 20 degrees cooler than yesterday, and it'll still be windy today as well. So low 50s for the afternoon high today. You factor in the wind, it'll feel like it's in the 40s at times. We could easily have some 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts this afternoon. But notice as we go into your Friday evening and into Saturday, those winds do relax a bit. Now, those calm winds, clear skies with that north wind, that is a recipe for a cold night of weather. If you haven't turned the heat on yet, I would place some money on bets that you probably will tonight. Mid-20s for all of us in the Triad going into your Saturday morning. Same story for the foothills and mountains, but there could be some of those outlying and typically cooler spots that even drop down into some low 20s by Saturday morning. Saturday, still a chilly day of weather in the low 50s. It'll still be a bit breezy at times too. We're a touch warmer on Sunday. After a morning right around freezing, we'll get up into the upper 50s for Sunday afternoon. 7-day forecast, it does have some ups and downs, but most of it all is chilly, no matter whether it goes up or down. We'll have some rain on Monday ahead of that front, and then Tuesday's really a bone-chilling day of weather. Circle that one in your mind to watch. We'll start out in the 20s, mid-40s in the afternoon, but with wind, it'll feel like it's in the 30s. By Thanksgiving Day itself, we still have sunshine, and we're back into the upper 50s.
All right, so everyone's still talking about the partial lunar eclipse that we experienced this morning. It was spectacular and something special. So you've been sending in your pictures. Some of them are awesome. Chad Silber was one of the first ones to text in a picture. He was up early, or maybe late perhaps, since he works on the 11 o'clock show. But he took this photo from Greensboro on his phone. Look how red that is. He's got great quality on his phone. Mine doesn't even compare to that. So here's another great shot from Tara and Ruffin, and you can see what an amazing viewpoint here that she we had. You can see that red hue as the shadows start to, go over the moon. So you really see the red hue in this picture that a viewer texted in as well, and great quality. You can see all the details in the moon. Maybe this is what it looked like for you, which is what it looked like for me. Yeah, that dot far away off in the distance. This is what Nicholas sent in. He said it looked much better, much nicer in person. Yep, that was me. I was
can confirm.
Yeah, exactly, can confirm. I actually had our executive producer outside with me, and I was like, where is it? And she's like, it's right there. It's a big red thing. I'm like, oh yeah. But then I, took a picture and didn't really quite work out the way I wanted to. I know you had some camera issues too, Megan.
I did. I was like holding my coffee, my bag, my phone in the other hand and trying to like snap a good picture, and it just was not working out for me. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I use this other high-tech tool that I've had for more than 30 years now? It's my own two eyes that God gave me.
Right.
And I enjoyed actually seeing it and appreciated it a little more than just trying to capture it behind a lens.
Right. Because you can see it all day, right? But you can only experience it.
Right.
Very few times. So
exactly.
Now, I won't pick on Megan too much because I have done this myself. But earlier this morning, after Megan got here, she came to me and wanted to know what the second little planet
Oh, stop!
above
Don't
the
tell
moon
that
was.
story.
Wait, what's going on?
And
No, don't tell it.
look, I've done it too. So joke's on me too. She said,
Okay.
"What is this other little planet above the moon?" And I was like, "What is that thing?" And then I remembered it is kind of shocking to the eye if you see it. If you go out back of our station, the wires that actually hold our tower that broadcasts our signal out, there's a thing on it that if you look at it really fast,
Yes,
it kind
I
of
know
looks
what
like
you're talking about.
Mars, or it looks like a planet.
It literally looked like it was in the same realm as
Hilarious.
the real moon. I'm like, I'm not easily duped by stuff like that. I consider myself a pretty intelligent person.
You
but
are.
that tripped me up today.
Right. It was the time of day.
I was like,
You
wait,
were
what?
still tired.
I needed more coffee. The decaf's not doing it for me these days, okay?
My first day, my first night here that I ever worked here at the station, our director, Brad, said, "Hey, come outside, I want to show you something." He said, "Is that Mars?" And I was like, "Well, it might, wait a minute." But that's what it is. But it was so funny because I've done it too. So I had to share that because it made me laugh this morning.
That is hilarious. And only if you could have the visual that I have, because I have looked up and I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot of, yeah. So never made that mistake, but I could see how it could be done. And that is one of the funniest things I've heard all morning. All right, so you guys have usually wake up early. At least you're here on our feed with us early in the morning, and we certainly appreciate that. So a lot of you are early risers, and if you are used to waking up, that early, you really got a special treat. This was not for people who like to sleep in. You had to catch it, but you had 4 hours this time.
Yeah.
Which is
historic.
longer. Yeah.
Although it really did look the best around 4 o'clock, Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, even once you got to 5 o'clock, it wasn't the same. You were describing it at that point as a cookie with a bite taken out of it.
Yeah.
And that's what started me getting hungry.
Yeah, and it already had lost its red hue. So if you weren't up at 4, you kind of missed the best part.
Yeah, 4:03 technically was the peak, but from about 3:45 until about 4:15 or 4:30, that's when it really looked the best. That's when it had that brightest red tint to it, and it's quite astonishing to realize where that red tint comes from. So this is not only happening here, but this is happening across the entire globe, across the entire Earth. So at 4:03, when you get that reddish tint, when that shadow of the Earth is casted onto the moon, then what you're seeing, that red, is actually coming from all the different sunrises and sunsets that are happening across the entire planet Earth. And that's where that reddish hue comes from. And so as the sun starts to move and the Earth starts to move and that shadow goes away, you lose that reddish tint. So once it started, it actually started to get good around 3:30, but it still wasn't that red yet, or didn't have that orangey look to it. And then after about 4:30, 4:45 this morning, you started to see it lose that red tint. And then by about 5:30, like I said, it kind of looked like a cookie with a little bite taken out of it.
Oh man, I was just typing that. I'm like, the funniest thing I've ever heard a meteorologist say is that it looked like a cookie with a bite taken out of it. I just think that's so great, a great description, and it got my mind thinking and my belly hungry.
You can just use your imagination, whatever cookie's your favorite. That's what
Exactly, but it did.
I'm trying to figure out how to upload a picture to this chat because of what you were making fun of me for earlier. It legit looks like a second moon.
It does.
I will show
I'll give
you.
that.
I don't know that you can you?
I'm
Do
gonna
pictures?
I don't know. I don't think so.
know.
Maybe
Oh,
after
man.
the feed ends you can. It's hilarious. I'll
Yeah.
tweet it.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
So, Christian, you said that this happens usually about like twice a year. Something similar?
So we have, it just depends on how good it's going to be. A lot of times this happens and we don't even realize it, you know? And a lot of times it's not even worth looking for or mentioning, whether that be the amount of coverage that we're going to see on the moon, or whether that be because we're going to be covered up in clouds or something like that. But this was really a big deal. And some of these kind of things happen, like you said, a lot of times throughout the year, but they're not ever necessarily this good. You know, even 30 to 40% eclipse is something pretty noteworthy and something to look for, but this was 97% covered. So that's why we call it a partial lunar eclipse. It wasn't a total lunar eclipse because there were, you know, that 2 to 3% of the moon that wasn't all covered up. But really something quite astonishing to see. You know, a couple years ago we had the solar eclipse. That was a lot different. So a lot of people have been asking me the difference between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. So the solar eclipse is when the Earth, of course, passes in front of the sun, and so you get that darkness. This was, of course, where the sun was passing on the other side of the Earth, and the shadow of the Earth was cast onto the moon. So it's a little bit different. So this was the lunar eclipse because we're dealing with the moon. If we're talking about the solar eclipse, that's the sun.
So I joked earlier on the Good Morning Show that I get all of my science from my son who's in kindergarten. They studied the moon about 3 weeks ago. And talking about leading up to this partial lunar eclipse. So like last weekend, I was sitting in front of the TV. He's like, "Mom, you look like a lunar eclipse. Get out of the way." And I'm like, excuse me, son.
That's hilarious.
Excuse me.
Because you were blocking the TV?
Yes. He's like, "You're casting shadows on everything." I'm like, okay, listen, use those in your science classes.
Oh my gosh.
At home here, we just say, "Excuse me, Mom, can you please move out of the way?" So yeah, I have to come up with an intelligent way to tell him to scram.
That was hysterical. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, all my science.
Oh man. Well, Christian, this really was miraculous. I mean, to think about the moon being more than 250,000 miles away, and for us to be able to see clearly this phenomenon just with the naked eye is pretty cool.
It is, you know, and this was one of those things where the solar eclipse, again, you had to use those glasses for because of, you know, to protect your eyes. This you could just see with the naked eye, and on such a clear morning too. You know, we were optimistic that those clouds would clear out in time behind our front, but we were also kind of crossing our fingers and crossing our toes and everything, hoping that we'd have a beautiful clear sky. And I'll tell you, honestly, by about 1:30 or 2 o'clock this morning, we were totally clear. And you could even see, you know, all the stars bright in the sky this morning with that eclipse. Just something amazing, honestly. And I talked about this earlier. You know, we have so much going on in the world. We have so much hustle and bustle every single day. You know, we're running from place to place. And to just get up early and have all the peace of the early morning and that clear sky and see that happen is just something miraculous.
Yeah. Well, you never know when it's going to happen again. Maybe in 6 months.
Maybe in 600 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
6 months to 600 years.
The next one we see like this will be up in heaven, and it'll be much better than we see here on Earth.
There we go. I like that.
Better view.
Look forward to that. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some of your headlines this morning and some big news that happened just yesterday. North Carolina lawmakers passing a bill limiting how mail-in absentee ballots are now counted. If it becomes law, mail-in absentee ballots not received by Election Day will not be counted. Currently, ballots postmarked by Election Day are allowed a 3-day grace period. The bill is now headed to Governor Roy Cooper, who is expected to veto it. Pfizer's booster shots could be soon authorized for all adults. The FDA is expected to authorize the eligibility expansion as soon as today. Now, keep in mind, it still does require final approval from the CDC before it's official. Right now, the Pfizer booster is available for groups of people who are 65 and older and those who are considered high risk. Today, a Triad County is hosting a vaccine clinic for the entire family. Davidson County Health Department administering the Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J vaccines and their boosters. It's also requiring or offering pediatric doses of the Pfizer vaccine for children who are ages 5 to 11. The clinic runs from 8:30 until 4:30 this afternoon. You do not need an appointment.
Well, time is running out to get your child fully vaccinated by Christmas Eve. Today is technically the last day to get your child's first Pfizer COVID dose if you want him or her fully vaccinated by December 24th. Remember, the shots have to be taken 3 weeks apart, and then you have to wait 2 weeks after the second shot for the vaccine to take full effect. That means the second dose must be scheduled on or before December 10th.
Well, I can feel it from here. The holiday spirit bursting through the Triad as another festive event makes its return.
We can feel the season of Christmas here. WFMY News 2 Winterfest is back in downtown Greensboro. So are you ready to lace up your skates and hit the ice? Here's WFMY News 2's Denise McMiller with what to expect.
I know there's no snow on the ground and it's not cold enough to bring out the winter boots, but it is not too early to break out the ice skates. I know it's quiet right now out here and there's more ice that needs to be laid for the rink to be ready to go for tonight for families. That's why you all aren't seeing me out here breaking out some moves and on the ice with the ice skates. But come tonight, things will be ready to go. They've already got things lit up and families will get to enjoy some music and they'll have a photo booth to get everyone in the holiday spirit. Now this is video from last year's Winterfest. Lots of families out on the ice, a good time for everyone. I've also got some information up for you. The rink will be ready to go for skaters at 7 p.m. tonight and will close at 9 p.m. Now it is the time of year to give. It's the season of giving and you can do so when you come out to the rink. Anyone who brings a non-perishable food item will get a voucher for a free sandwich at Chick-fil-A. All donations go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. A portion of the ticket cost also goes to the bank. Those are $5 and can be bought online. Now, having winter activities downtown is also good for area businesses.
It's really nice to have some events coming back to downtown Greensboro. Of course, it means more business for us. We get to see a lot more people spending time with their families, and it's just nice to have, more happy conversations, smiling faces.
And if you don't have your own skates, skate rentals are between $6 and $12. And if you want to come out here and get athletic and get serious on the ice, come out on Tuesdays. Those are the nights that folks will have some curling games going on.
Oh, curling is always very popular out at Winterfest. It is hard, yeah. And sometimes we see the little hockey players from the Greensboro Ice House out there. So it's really a lot of fun. And I think the location is great. Obviously, LeBauer Park was pretty cool, but this location just off of Lewis Street and Elm, I think really gives you a lot more space and a lot more parking. So it's going to be a good time. There is a lot of fun happening tonight at WFMY News 2 Winterfest. Let us know here in the comments if you and your family plan to stop by this year. Ice skating, of course, just one of the many fun winter activities we have in the Triad. So let us know, what are some of your favorites? Maybe you like looking at Christmas lights, you like doing something with Santa. What are some of your fun traditions?
Well, I remember at WFMY News 2 Winterfest a few years ago, this was when Frozen was really big, and Queen Elsa and Princess Anna, because I have to get it right.
Oh, okay.
The Frozen stars came to the ice skating rink, and girls were falling out like you would not believe. They're like, just it was just a spectacular, I guess, icing on the cake. Get it? They were just really excited to see these characters. And I remember, I think it was around the time Disney on Ice was touring, and so they were in town. So these weren't regular characters. These were the Disney characters. So all in their glam and their long trail and stuff. I mean, kids were falling out. They were like, Anna, Anna. It was good.
People were also falling out the year that the Chick-fil-A cow came out and skated and gave away free sandwiches.
I fell out.
I would have been there.
I was going to say, I think we were among the fans of that.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, Winterfest, people have been proposed in the center of the ice skating rink before. I mean, a lot of different traditions for people. I know that couple does go back every year that we've had it to kind of mark the day that they got engaged there. We've done a few stories on them. So, it's just a great community event. My personal favorite thing to do in the winter is go through oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of the neighborhood. With the Sunset Hills. Sunset Hills, yes. And watching all the lights and the balls that are hanging from the trees are just it's just so miraculous that this neighborhood gets together every year to do such a great thing for the community, and it's all free.
I know, it's made national headlines.
Yes.
Like, it's that big because it is that spectacular when you drive through this neighborhood. And so obviously there's always a charitable cause to it. Normally it's a food donation, so it's a really great, and we're really lucky to have it here.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my favorite winter activity too. But I do love ice skating, obviously in no condition to do it this year, but as soon as my son is old enough, I can't wait to teach him how to skate. You know, growing up in the Midwest, we learned to skate almost at the same time we learned how to walk. It was just like what you did. And hockey is so popular out there, figure skating is so popular. But Christian, you confess that you've never ice skated.
I can snowboard, I can ski. I've never put on a pair of ice skates, but I might change that tonight. You know, we're kicking that off downtown Greensboro. I may slide out there, and I've been told that Chad Silber is actually a pretty bang up skater, and he's going to be out there.
Bang up would be the adjective you use, huh?
Because I'm going to get banged up.
Exactly.
So if anybody wants to give me lessons, hello, here we are. But I may try it this year. Never done it.
I want to explore this, Christian, because I've never been snowboarding. I've been skiing. I'm not great at it. I'm a bunny hill type person. I'd like to roller skate, not really a good ice skater. But snowboarding obviously is really difficult because the board is not that big.
I mean, you spend a lot of time on your rear end at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once you get it, once you get up and get going, you're fine once you learn how to do it. I've always thought, at least for me anyway, I've always thought it's easier to control one thing. I have one board on my feet than controlling two skis and two poles, and you stick one in somewhere else. And
Got it.
I actually, when I decided to switch over to snowboarding, my brother and I went skiing, and I said, whatever you do, don't stick that pole into my feet or into my snowboard. And the first thing he did getting off the lift was stick it right in the middle, trying to get off, and so then I ended up getting hit in the head with the ski lift and had to stop the lift, and then I was that guy.
Ooh, ouch.
So I was at that point. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with any of that other stuff anymore. Just going to snowboard, strap it on my feet, and go.
I would stop there too.
Yeah, I bet you did a lot of skiing and snowboarding when you went to school though at App State. My husband and I love skiing up there. Normally we go every Valentine's Day, but the past couple of years, we've had either babies or young children, as factors, but that's always fun. I like night skiing because there are fewer people on the slopes, and so I always worry not so much about injuring myself, but injuring somebody else if I fall or just can't stop. And sometimes those slopes get really icy.
Yeah, they do. I've always liked the atmosphere of the night skiing too. Like you said, it's not as crowded. I just think something about doing it at night is fun. But like you mentioned, we did a lot of that at Appalachian. And in fact, when they would cancel classes, if they would cancel classes because the bus system couldn't run, you could ski all day at App Ski Mountain for $15.
Oh, wow.
As long as you had a vehicle and had four-wheel drive and you were able to make it up to the mountain, you could ski all day for $15. And I had signed up to take snowboarding as my second PE. We had to take two, and I had signed up to take snowboarding.
Wow.
And I had to drop it the day that the semester started because I didn't have enough time to get all the way from where my last class ended to get in the car and get up to the mountain in time to do it. So I had signed up for it. It just never worked out in my schedule.
Wow.
That's pretty
Things
cool.
you learn about Christian. So let's explore this ice skating thing, Megan.
Yeah.
Did you do like turns and like jumps?
I mean, I wasn't like super skilled like that, but I could do the basic twirls and turns. Yeah.
Wow.
I think she's being modest.
That's impressive. I know there's probably videos somewhere of
Yeah.
you like
I didn't do like
Christina
competitions or
Yamaguchi,
anything. No, I didn't do the competitions or anything, but my brothers were always skating for hockey, and so I would go with them to like their skating lessons and see if I could find some free time to use the ice. So I kind of taught myself some of the skills and then just kind of continued skating over the years. But then my passions turned elsewhere to horses and dance. And so, but yeah, I think it's a great skill for especially kids to learn because once you learn it, it really is kind of like riding a bike. I mean, obviously you're going to be a little rusty if you get out there after 10 years off the ice, but you'll pick it up pretty quickly.
interesting.
Yeah. So try it, you two.
All right.
We'll go
I'm
skating.
gonna give it a go.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what people are saying on our feed here. Do you guys? I know someone had said that they liked going to Tanglewood, which is in Forsyth County, and it's like the drive-through park.
Oh, I think Joanne mentioned that.
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember who did it, but yeah, that was. Oh, you're right. Joanne Settle said Tanglewood Show in Winston-Salem. It's a family tradition every year, so that was pretty awesome.
That's a good tradition.
It is.
You don't want to go to a weekend if you can avoid it because it's so crowded.
Yeah.
Unless you have time to wait in line.
Yeah.
But if you can find a weekday to go, yeah, that's great. Debbie said she used to love snow tubing. Have you ever been snow tubing?
I saw it on a show on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They went snow tubing. But I have not been.
Sounds kind of dangerous.
So it's basically like, you know, like an inline tube, you know, like when you go swimming,
Yeah, on a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like
And
floating on the river.
Yeah, it's the
kinda
same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But you're going downhill a lot faster.
There's a couple places. There's a couple places up in the high country. I think Hawks Nest up near Banner Elk used to do snow tubing. I think there's another one too up near Boone and Blowing Rock that used to do snow tubing. There's only a couple.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I love that Christian knows like everything that has to do with like winter.
Right.
And like snow.
Yeah, he is Grandfather Mountain. I mean,
Should we
he
call
might as well be at this point.
I love it. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and give people the forecast, especially it's a weekend, so we got to know how to plan accordingly.
Oh yeah, big winter chill starting to come back into the Piedmont. You're already feeling that this morning as you take a live look. One more time, I just want to show you that eclipse. If you weren't up and you missed it, you really missed out on something exquisite this morning. That's the word I'm going to use. But there are plenty of pictures and videos and stuff that you can find on my Facebook and on Twitter as well if you're searching for that. I would spend some time checking it out. Really something amazing. That big winter chill is here, and it'll be here for quite a while. There are some subtle ups and downs, but they're all chilly ups and downs in the 7-day forecast. It's all sunshine today, low 50s, and it'll still be a bit windy today too. Remember how windy it was yesterday? That's going to play a factor in the way it feels outside this afternoon. So even though we'll be in the low 50s, you get that wind starting to kick up. It'll feel like it's in the 40s at times as we go throughout the afternoon. Chilly weekend of weather on the way. We'll be back in the mid-20s overnight. Going into your Saturday, Saturday's chilly in the low 50s, still a bit breezy at times too, but we'll be a touch warmer on Sunday in the upper 50s. Now Monday is kind of the weather day of the next 7. We'll have another cold front swinging through the area. That'll bring us some rain on Monday, mainly through the first part of the day, then clearing out Monday night, but it will bring some even chillier air behind it. Mid-20s Tuesday morning. We'll only get into the mid-40s by Tuesday afternoon, and it'll be a really windy day of weather on Tuesday as well. So you factor that in, likely feeling like the 30s, maybe even some 20s at times on Tuesday afternoon. So that's kind of a bone-chilling day of weather. By Wednesday and Thursday, Thanksgiving Day itself, though, I expect us all to be just fine. We'll have sunshine and upper 50s for Turkey Day.
Yay, 1 week away.
All right.
Ready to fill up.
I got to put the turkey on I got to put the little turkey guy on the 7-day.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, can update them anytime. Thanks for joining us on the Friday edition of After GMS.
All right, let's close it out with looking back at some of our best moments of the week, some of the bloopers, best in quotations. This is the best of GMS. Have a great weekend. All right, Sydney, did you forget your coat again today?
I did not forget.